You want to start travel vlogging, but you've absolutely no idea where to start. Equipment is probably a good step in the right direction, and that is what this video is going to be all about. I've spent the last year constantly upgrading my travel gear in order to maximize quality efficiently without breaking the bank. This has meant that I've been able to travel the world and partner with some of the biggest hotel chains and travel companies, and today I'm going to be sharing with you what I believe to be some of the most essential items that you need in your travel bag so that you can do the same. Just to let you guys know as well, all the links for the items that I'm going to be talking about are going to be in the description below, and it will take you to Amazon, and that will be the cheapest place on the internet that you'll be able to find these items if you want to buy them yourself. So let's get into it. Traveling can be very expensive, and flights in Europe can actually be very cheap. But when it comes to adding luggage, that can almost double the cost of your flight fare. So one of the most important ways to keep costs down whilst traveling is by using a really good carry-on bag. Now the bag that I use is the North Face Router. This bag is super efficient in terms of size, compartments, and it basically means that I don't need a cabin bag. So I can travel with only a rucksack, and I'm within the regulations for all the budget airlines. It's just super efficient and it's an amazing bag, and I cannot recommend it enough. Next, of course, is the camera. Now my camera of choice is the Panasonic Lumix GH5 because it is an absolute beast in terms of videos, and it also takes really good photos. It shoots 4K 60, so it means I get buttery smooth vlog footage, but it also gives me the opportunity to create slow-mo footage as well from those clips. It is super easy to use. Like this time last year, I hadn't even used the camera before. This was the first camera I basically picked up. I didn't know what aperture was, ISO, or shutter speed, and it's so simple, really easy to use. Also, it's got a great flip out screen, which means it's perfect for vlogging. I have now replaced this as my vlogging camera. It's got great battery life. You only need 2 batteries for a full day of rigorous, non-stop shooting. It's also got dual card functionality, which basically means that you have 2 memory cards in your camera. So if one gets full, you've got a second memory card as a backup. And of course, considering the price tag, it is by far better than all of its competitors. Now, the only real compromise that you're taking is because it's a Micro Four Thirds camera, the low light isn't going to be the best. But absolutely love this thing. It's an absolute beast. It was almost designed for the amateur video creator. Next, let's talk about lenses. The 3 most important travel lenses that you're going to need if you want the entire travel setup is first the 8-18mm wide angle lens, which is the one that I use for vlogging. When you are talking to the camera, people want to see what is behind you and what your surroundings look like. I was actually using the zoom lens, which is the 14-140mm lens, a long time, and as soon as I got the 8-18, I'm so happy. It was the best thing I did. Number 2 on that list, of course, is the 14-140mm lens. This is your zoom lens. The zoom lens allows you to zoom really far, so you know it does what it says on the tin, and you can get some really cool shots of things in the distance that, you know, not even the eye could necessarily pick up. I love this lens, it's amazing, and it is a vital part of your travel vlogging setup. The last lens is the lens that I use the least, but it captures some of the best content. I'm actually using the lens right now to shoot this video, but it's the 25mm, also known as Nifty 50, and it allows you to get that really beautiful cinematic slow-mo footage. It's a 1.7 aperture, which means you can capture really great isolation and you can blur the background and have a beautiful bokeh effect. So those are the most important 3 lenses: the wide angle lens for vlogging, the zoom lens for capturing that distant content and the great B-roll, and of course the Nifty 50, which is the cinematic lens for great storytelling purposes and also for, you know, talking to the camera and isolating the background, creating that nice little blurred effect. Next up, you're going to need a backup camera. The camera that I use as my backup is my G7X Mark III. It's a Canon. Now this is the camera that I actually started my YouTube channel with. This is a really entry-level camera and you are sort of limited, but it is a great place to start. and it's also a really good backup camera. The reason being is it's really, really small. It's a point and shoot. It can fit in any pocket. I also really like the color profile on the Canon cameras. The Canon G7X Mark III is a great shout for your backup and also a great starting camera for vlogging. Next up, you're gonna need a reliable hard drive, an external hard drive. My hard drives of choice is now the LaCie rugged hard drives. 2 to 3 terabytes is going to be a suitable amount of storage for your trips. I've spent 2 weeks here in Madeira capturing like non-stop content every day, shooting in 4K 60, and I've gone through maybe a terabyte of storage. But the main reason that I would recommend this LaCie hard drive is it can really take a drop and any bangs. I've used a few different kinds of hard drives before and they have failed on me, and there is nothing worse than shooting a load of content and then your hard drive playing up and then you having to seek out some data recovery service where you have to end up paying like £400 or £500 to retrieve all your files. Very, very reliable. If you need a hard drive, which you do, nothing better than these ones. Next, it is a microphone. You can have the best quality video footage, visual, but if you don't have great audio, people will switch off. Your retention rate on YouTube, on your videos, will be low. Audio is something that is so important, so it is really important to invest in a good microphone. My microphone of choice is the D3 Pro. This is an amazing microphone. It is top of the line. The only competitor is the Rode microphone, which is like £60 more, and it has pretty much all the same specs. You're only paying that £60 more for the brand. Can't recommend enough a microphone. The reason why is because if I switch to the in-camera audio, which is what I've done just now, and I'm pretty sure you can tell the difference versus having a dedicated microphone on the top of your camera, you know, it really changes the viewing experience. We're back on the D3 Pro, by the way. Next up, tripod. My tripod of choice is the Joby GorillaPod. You're gonna need one of these for your sat down shots, the ones where you wanna talk to camera. I don't actually use it on my day-to-day shooting when I'm out and about because it's just another thing to carry and it can be quite bulky, but you never know when you're going to need it. If you want to get those long exposure photography shots, you're gonna need it. If you want to sit down and talk to the camera, you're going to need it. There are other options, but I absolutely love the Joby GorillaPods because it allows you to get a really even, stable level shot, even on uneven ground. Next, and in my opinion, the most important thing on earth for any travel content creator, travel vlogger, whatever you are, is a drone. My drone of choice is the Mavic Air 2. This is an absolute beast in the air. It is an incredible piece of equipment. Unfortunately, I broke it this trip and that is devastating. But when you buy a DJI drone, you can also buy the optional DJI Refresh. And that is basically an insurance. And it means that if you ever break your drone, you can get a brand new replacement for only £69. Now, this is quite an expensive drone, and there is nothing worse than flying a drone that isn't very powerful, worrying about whether you're gonna be able to fly the drone back. And trust me, I know because I used to have the Mavic Mini, and if you haven't seen my video in Prague, you'll see why I decided to upgrade to a Mavic Air 2. But the most important thing about the Mavic Air 2 is the extra flight time, the power. It can really fly against wind, but also it's got sensors on there, and it means that you're going to avoid collisions. When you pick up your Mavic Air 2, definitely get the Fly More combo. The drone itself is like £720, and the Fly More combo, which gives you 2 extra batteries, so you've got 3 in total, super handy carry bag, and also ND filters, which you, by the way, really need, especially in super bright conditions, and get that silky smooth, you know, correct motion blur. But the main reason and the most important thing of all is this bag is sick. This bag is amazing. You don't want to be walking around carrying too much stuff. And this basically means that when I'm out and about shooting, the only setup I bring with me is my camera with the microphone on it and this Mavic Air 2 Fly More combo. Because the bag is such a, great design, it basically means that I can carry one of my lenses in this bag, 2 extra batteries for the Mavic Air 2, which gives me in total an hour and a half of flight time, and it's just a really small, compact, convenient bag to carry. Now, a memory card that is suitable for the Mavic Air 2, if you're going to be shooting in 4K, I would suggest just getting the 64GB SD cards, just because you're going to be backing up your files every single day. I've never had a problem with 64GB of memory card storage, so stick with that. Next up, it is an action cam. You absolutely need one of these. The reason being is if you go canyoning, for example, or you go on a jet ski, or you go in an area where you absolutely shouldn't bring your DSLR camera, you need an action cam. 2 that you should only worry about is either the GoPro or the Insta360 Max Pro, or whatever it's called. The difference between the 2 is extreme sports, skiing, mountain biking, scuba diving really deep, GoPro. Casual filmmaker doing a little bit of, water sport activities, casual filming, Insta360. And last on the list is a decent pair of shorts. What makes these such a decent pair of shorts? It is the pockets. With this big pocket here, I can carry a spare lens, I carry my zoom lens in there. In my other pocket, I carry my water bottle. I always use the bubble bottle, it filters my water. That's going to be linked in the description below. It's amazing. I cannot express to you how important this pair of shorts has been in my travels. So that has been it for this video. I do hope it has been helpful in providing some insight as to where you should get started in terms of creating your camera gear travel setup. That has been it for this video. I hope it's been helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.